Alright people, welcome to this Mitre tech series. We have now the fourth and the last video on the spearphishing and phishing topic in general. So we had one general phishing video and there are in total 4 videos regarding spearphishing. So let's copy that page over here from last time. So this is now another link 004. Just copy it in here. And then as usual, let's copy not that one. Sorry, I need to change a little bit of something. So like this. And this is a pretty quick video as far as I can tell, because we have only very limited information here available, which is fine. We don't always need a whole lot of content on everything. But the voice, spearphishing via voice, is certainly something to be surprised about, because typically attackers try to stay hidden. They don't want to reveal their voice, that might compromise them. But in this case you see nothing, they shy away of nothing, as it looks like. But yeah, then let's read a little bit what we have here. So on the right side we have again initial access. It is Linux, Windows, Mac OS. There's no list of names of people who contributed to this, unfortunately. Either there are too many people to fit here, or there is really nobody who wants to take credit for this. Really interesting. But yeah, let's read what we have in the middle text here. So adversaries may use voice communications to ultimately gain access to victim systems. Spearphishing voice is a specific variant of spearphishing. It is different from other forms in that it employs the use of manipulating a user into providing access to systems via phone calls. Yeah. Manipulating a user, phone call, or other form of voice communications, yes. And then spearphishing frequently involves social engineering techniques, such as posing as a trusted source. And here they have it now. Example, impersonation. And we will cover impersonation in one of our future videos as well, because this is the classic. This page obviously has been created by somebody else. So you see like a little bit of a jump in write style. But it has been created 2023 initially, and it's fairly well updated. It's recent this year. So then let's see. All forms of phishing are electronically delivered social engineering. In this scenario, adversaries are not directly sending malware to a victim, vice relying on user execution for delivering execution. For example, victims may receive phishing messages that instruct them to call a phone number where they are directed to visit the malicious URL. Yeah, the instruction to call a phone number. So this is the type of attacks that your grandmother would encounter. Okay, so this is always what it is. So elderly people are being targeted by this. As far as I can tell, here in Germany we have these attacks. And the sad thing is the damage is quite large usually, and you cannot catch these people. So there are call centers in India, for example. Some of them have been exposed, but these Indian employees, they very well know that they are tricking people into losing money, and they are still doing their job. So this is one of those things where I think society should act against that. So should you get aware of call centers like this, be it in India or wherever, but I know that a lot of them are located in India these days. So if you notice these activities, try to shut them down if you can, or try at least to expose their location expose their identities. So cyber criminals, they deserve to be shut down, and we defenders, we need to act accordingly. But unfortunately, this phone call trick, you can never trace it back to the attacker ever. So it's just money disappears. The victims, some elderly people, they trust again a friendly voice on the other side, and that's what it is. Yeah, so there's unfortunately not that much that you can do about it. I'm very eagerly to see the mitigation strategies there. So okay, in last sentences, adversaries may also combine voice phishing with multi-factor authentication request generation in order to trick users into divulging MFA credentials or accepting authentication protocols. Yeah, interesting. Okay, let's jump then to the next site. So now we are looking at, and by taking a look at this all fits on one page, I believe. At least it should. Yeah, this all fits on one page now, I think. Maybe procedure examples and mitigations. So there we go, those are procedure examples and mitigations. And not surprising, mitigation techniques this time only includes user training. No antivirus, no nothing. It might include antivirus because that's the next step, but still, user training is the best you can do about these attacks, obviously. So procedures, we have here Storm and CO27. Those are the examples of attacks that have been carried out. So during CO27, Scattered Spider impersonated legitimate IT personnel in phone calls to direct victims to download a remote monitoring and management tool that would allow the adversary to remotely control the system. Yeah, that's quite interesting. So these remote tools, this appears to be a good trick to hijack a system. But the interesting thing is it requires you to directly talk to the victim. And then Storm 1811 has initiated voice calls with victims posing as IT support to prompt users to download and execute scripts and other tools for initial access. Yeah, again, prompting users to download stuff and execute it. So this is, yeah. Mitigations is, as we said, user training, so once people know what to look out for, they have a good chance catching that. Alright, and now we take a look at detection strategy at your SOC. So there we go. And this is right here, we have 4 of them. Let's see. So monitor call log records from corporate devices for unusual unauthorized numbers. Yeah, so unusual numbers. That's possible. Obviously, they are sitting in a call center somewhere. It's not their home number. And then malicious phone numbers, yes. Audit voice over IP logs for suspicious outbound calls or set up messages to unusual endpoints. Again, unusual endpoints is the trick here. So you just need to see if you are familiar with these or not. Monitor FaceTime, iMessages or SIP client logs for anomalous voice call attempts. Link to subsequent user executions. Yes. So FaceTime, iMessage, SIP, that's Apple. Proprietary software of Apple. And then correlate MFA push fatigue or unusual consent grant attempts with a call activity where adversaries may have socially engineering the user over voice. Yeah, MFA push fatigue. So when you get a lot of those MFA pushes, at some point you might accept one of those. That's like a brute force attempt. But yeah, that's what we have here. And now on our last page, last part of this video as usual. Let's take a look at the sources. This time again we have sources that are, we can have a good overview on those 9 sources. Let's take a look at the sources. Who are these people? Biderman, Caesar again. Caesar is writing protecting against malicious use of remote monitoring and management software. That's pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting because they write about the protection, so this is one of those sources that we might want to read up. Also, if I encounter it in my job, this might be one of those things to read up. We have Proofpoint, that it is not surprising, it's one of those classics. Again, Microsoft Threat Intelligence Group. Tyler McGraw, okay. Red Canary Intelligence, those are also quite Red Canary. Those are quite well known. I mean, not that paper, but still, it might be a good read as well. And it's pretty recent, as you can see, March 14th, 2025. And then we have another, Caesar avoiding social engineering and phishing attacks. So they talk about how to avoid them. So I see 3 sources here that I would really like to read. It appears interesting to me. So all the sources that we mark down here, I will go back to these slides at some point and then decide whether it is worth reading through them or not. But also give me some feedback in the comments which of those sources are interesting to you. Sometimes it is easier to read stuff together than having to bring yourself reading it on your own. Because whenever I read Mitre attack, I fly over it quickly. And this video motivates me to go through it a little bit more in depth. And also when other people provide content, I also just follow along passively, and that way I get the more depth than I would have gotten if I just went through it on my own. And this might be one of those values here, going together through the sources, listening to another person, you might get another view. But yeah, so we are coming to the end of this video. These videos are getting a little shorter, as I see, not even 15 minutes, but that's okay. So we looked at the general description. We have seen some similarities to the other phishing descriptions as well, and some new things like impersonation. To no surprise, user training in this case is the most effective thing to do. This is not surprising because in the phishing field, user training is one of the most effective things. Then we looked at procedures, not so many out there regarding voice as it looks like, but there have been some. Countermeasure strategy, also interesting, what can your SOC do? So it is always about looking at the unusual stuff. And a few sources here. Yeah, so I think this is it for now. Thank you guys for watching and following along here with the cybersecurity topics with me. And yeah, see you in the next video. Goodbye.